Welcome to Product of the Working Class, and it is my great pleasure to welcome Shutty, formerly Thunder Monster from Terrorvision. Shutty, how are you doing, fella? And thank you for joining me.
Hey up, very well, absolutely sorted. Went to see stock car racing last night in Bradford, Odsal Stadium. I hadn't been for, since I was 10 years old. And it was absolutely fantastic. Oh yeah, it was ace. And the sun was shining and the cans of cider were out. It was just fantastic. When we had, back in the day, once my parents had split, and then my mum died, and my dad bought a video recorder, Sony one, Betamax, not VHS. And I just, whenever there was anything on telly, I used to record it and rewatch it loads. Now, one of them was an AC/DC gig from Washington. It's right back in the day that when Back in Black had just come out, and they were just doing this live set, and I just watched the drummer, and I'm not musical at all, and I thought, well, I can do that because that's dead simple drumming. I'll have a go at doing that. And at the time, there was this, I forgot what it was called, this music show on BBC called Rock School. And there was a band called Rock Goddess on there. This is going way back in the day. And I had a recording of them. So I used to get home from school and watch all these recordings of bands and always watch the drummer. But the AC/DC one was the best because that's how I taught myself to drum. I got a drum kit when I was 16 and I'm completely self-taught. But doing what I did, you do the 4/4, but your foot wants to go at the same time. So I used to have to bounce my foot on and off the floor at the opposite time to doing the snare until I'd sussed that. And I really sussed that really well, but I didn't really get much further. I didn't. I'm not a drummer's drummer at all. I'm a drinker's drummer. And it's all about the rock and roll, having a beer and a right laugh. And that's how it all happened to the lineup that everyone knows. Obviously, I left in 2009, but I was there from age about 17. I think I worked it out. I did 23 and a half years in that band.
Wow.
Yeah, we were Masquerade, then Spoiled Brats, then Terrorvision.
That's really cool. So obviously, first album, Formaldehyde, for me, I love that, and songs like American TV and My House, they need turning up really loud, in my opinion.
11T, that's my new volume. I've just put it on my radio show. There's a new volume. It's been approved by the European High Court of Noisy Gits. Seriously, yeah, it has been approved. It is a European High Court. I don't know where they're actually based, but yes, it's true. Is that 11 is the correct volume?
Excellent. It sounds very Spinal Tap to me.
Yeah. Oh, don't you just love that film though? Because
so obviously, you started drumming when you're 16. You're self-taught, like myself. I've never had any actual lessons from anyone.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why your style influenced me when I was learning to play, because obviously I recognised something in it. I don't know. But when you
taught myself to AC/DC and admittedly ZZ Top, because a lot of that were electronic but still proper 4/4 stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And the best thing about me, always live and in the studio and stuff, was my actual timing was cock on, absolutely cock on. And I think that's just because I learned 4/4 and different versions of it. I never tried to learn anything else because I was too busy having a drink. And that's the absolute truth of it all.
Let's take a step back to sort of kind of 1993 and all those sorts of things. When kind of Terrorvision started to kick off and all of those sorts of things for you, did that give you that opportunity to think about, I could go and buy this set of drums now? And did you start looking at the gear and what you could? Was there any aspirations in that way as well?
Well, I always wanted to make sure I played Zildjian.
Yeah.
Because the cymbals I had at the start were 5-star supers in. And they didn't sound that good. Yeah. And I eventually got my first Zildjian. It was 16-inch crash. I've got it in my front room. We put a clock in the middle of it. It says, with a big rip down the side because, it just goes dunk and doesn't make a noise. But I've been there and done all that. But I always wanted to get as many Zildjian cymbals as I could. because I'd kind of worked out, I don't know how, but the sound of a drum kit, a lot of it is about having good cymbals, is having quality cymbals,
Yeah,
and a quality ride that cuts through. Like
absolutely.
on most of the Terrorvision albums, there's a ride that cuts through everything. It's an earth ride,
Oh, nice.
and yeah, it's an earth ride. I love that. But there was the first album, Formaldehyde, and then you can tell without We Make Friends that there's this massive band over in America called Nirvana. They kept playing this thing called a crash ride. So we're doing always fours, similar. So I used to call it symbol of the moment. Oh, I know. I'll put that bit in the song. Yeah, that sound. Oh, that sounds right. That sounds right. But we always sounded like us and no one else because we couldn't be anyone else. So,
And
like I said, Masquerade, Sport Brats, and then Terrorvision.
yeah,
And the last gig we ever played as Terrorvision, before we got signed, was to 14 people at some god awful pub in Byker in Newcastle. Because going on from stuff, it's like, if you don't enjoy it, don't do it. Money wise, it's your hobby. You got to spend. Anyone spends money on a fisherman or someone who likes go-karting or whatever. They spend money on their hobby that they love.
Yeah.
And when you do go 100 miles to a gig and 3 people turn up or 2 people turn up, have a great laugh, have a good time because you're playing somewhere different, and think of it as a laugh. The smallest amount of people Terrorvision ever played to before we were signed was the King's Arms in Wrexham. I always remember this because there was 2 people. 2. After the gig, we bought a bag of chips each afterwards. But it was funny, and it was all great fun. If someone ever comes up to you saying, "Oh, how can we do this?" and how it's really hard, and it's like, it's not hard to enjoy yourself.
And
if you're enjoying yourself and you don't think it's funny, we did Mark Yates, the guitarist of Terrorvision, he cut down this ping pong table. I don't know where he got it from, this table tennis table, into a drum riser for a band. I'm like, yeah, this looks shit hot, this. And then we were driven to some gig somewhere in Rochdale of all places, and it wouldn't fit in the gig. So that's not a massive downer. It's just funny. That's just funny, and you have a beer about it.
That's the Spinal Tap moment for you.
Oh God, yeah. It all happens even before you get signed, if you're lucky enough to get signed. I know that in the 90s you could still get signed. I know now you could still get signed as a band, and there'd be an advance that wasn't very much, but there was enough money there so you could live. And then you did get an advance for gear and stuff like that. And as soon as you Top of the Pops is responsible for loads, because as soon as you hit Top of the Pops as a rock band from the UK, people start taking big notice, massive notice. So then we got Yamaha Drums said, right, well, this is the kit. Do you like it? It can be yours. We're not going to keep giving you another one. In other words, telling me not to smash it up, but you can have that. And then Tina from Zildjian, I can't remember her surname. I never met her, but she said, right, well, we know it's all Zildjian. And it was it's only like an 18-inch a crash ride, an earth ride, and a pair of hi-hats. Yeah, I might have had a China a bit later on, but that's because you try and do that, make that noise, don't you? But
yeah, because it sounds awesome.
Zildjian gave me a set of cymbals, but he couldn't do it. I couldn't do anything with them. The only way I could get them replaced was to send it back if it was broken. Wow. So I used to go through a crash ride, a Zildjian, a Vedis medium crash ride, 18-inch, when we were on the road and playing like, 25 hours a day sometimes, like 367 days a year. One of them had lasted only 3 months. Can you believe that? 3 months.
I can
until the rip goes down the middle, and then you go dunk, and you can't do anything with it apart from turn it into a clock.
Yeah, which is what you've done and put it on the wall.
Yeah, so it wasn't like free stuff, but it was like a set of free stuff. But then nothing, I don't want shitloads. And 5 drums and a few cymbals, that's enough for me. I'm from Bradford, that's well enough for me. That's how that worked out, though. And the same with Yamaha. So at one point, Yamaha were putting out a picture with me on them. You're serious? You're serious? And Zildjian had put my name to stuff, and they actually made me signature sticks.
Wow.
They actually said,
Do you
send us your signature. Send us your signature, and send us your signature, right? And the Terrorvision logo, and we'll print some sticks up. And they used to send me 50 at a time. I was like, are you serious? I've only got 3 left because I used to give them away a lot. So I've got 3 left.
Oh, mate.
But that's just it's just makes you smile, doesn't it? It's all about, when I start talking about it, it's all about the rock and roll and having a beer and having a complete and utter laugh all the time. And
so kind of as the band progressed, and obviously, Formaldehyde got some traffic coming through, and then you went, and How to Make Friends got even more, and then when Regular Urban Survivors came out, and I remember seeing you guys. We were talking about Top of the Pops. I remember seeing you guys on there doing Bad Actress, and I still love that song. It's epic track.
Yes, it's a good one. That.
Yeah, I love it, and I just I love that floor tom part you play, and that just sounds so cool.
It was all I could do. I do fours on the floor. Yeah, just do fours on the floor tom, like hi-hats, but do them on the floor tom, and it fits. So it's like, right, okay. I didn't spend that long working that one out. That actually, Bad Actress is like one of my finest drum moments, where I put the drums down to the click with a bit of bongos in it just to keep me moving in it, and a little bit of vocal, and I did the whole thing without anyone else from start to finish, because I really loved the song. I really did. So that's my finest moment, is that. We can talk about playing the click if you want. I've gone off on a tangent.
I will talk to you about playing to the click, because it's quite an interesting thing, and it kind of ties in with a lot of how, because obviously back in the day, you probably did this. There wasn't any in-ear monitors. You had a couple of cabs at the front of the stage. You might have had a little wedge next to your drum kit, and everything was cranked up to a 100%, so you could hear everything. Whereas now everyone has these tiny little things stuck in their ear. You see Chris Martin from Coldplay and all these guys with these little tiny things plugged in their ear, and they've got like this silent stage. Obviously, a lot of them are playing to click now. How did you find that? Because obviously, from my experience playing in the studio, I've had to play to click, and it's not the easiest thing to do initially. It almost feels a little alien.
It's like riding a bike.
Yeah.
It is. It's like riding a bike. Once you can do it, you can do it. Second album, I'm going to have to go on. It's not off on a tangent, but second album, right? We're recording it in New York. You're all right. You're all right. No, you're all right. It's fine. So second album, the producer, Gil Norton, I don't know if you know that name.
I've heard the name, yeah.
Yeah. Gil Norton was the producer, and he knew I was worried about playing the album to click. And he took me in a taxi. He would have to pick up some, I don't know, some fancy music thing somewhere in New York, right in the middle of New York, like you do, in a taxi driver with a producer. It's a fucking give over. Sorry, I shouldn't swear. I meant give over. And he talked to me about it. And he said, just imagine it's some bongos. And put those bongos where you want them, and hit them when you want, and just keep in time with that rhythm. And as soon as he said that, I could do it. Yeah. And I always did. I always did. Live, the last album, I did do that with in-ear monitors to 2 or 3 tracks, but that's all. The rest of it is rock and roll with Terrorvision. You get in, you strap on, and if someone's going too fast, bass player, or someone's going a bit too slow, guitar player may have had a drink, and you can pull them together and turn that into a true timing.
Yeah.
And that's what I always did, because that's how music is live.
Oh, mate, and I couldn't agree with you more. And I think this is it. It's this whole thing. And I've got some students of mine. I've got this one lad in particular. He's going to be 18 the end of the year. And he'd love to get in a band. And of course, with everything that's gone on with COVID over the last 18 months, has really put a kibosh on that for him, and you can just see it. He just needs to get in a room with some other blokes and just make some noise. He's just at that point,
And I love the guys to bits. I left them in 2009 because I think they wanted to go a bit further and write some more stuff. It was semi-pro by this stage, and I just thought, I didn't want it to be a pain in the ass. So it was January 2009. I made the decision, right, I'll tell them, and I'll do all the gigs that are planned right up until December 2009, and just womble off into distance. Having had a fantastic career and time with the lads. Yeah, but I love them all to bits, like brothers.
Mate, it's great. It's great hearing you talking about them all like that, because obviously I saw Terrorvision back in, I think it must have been about 2017. I saw them in Birmingham. They were doing this. There was this whole comeback Brit rock thing that was put together. Yeah, and I saw them in Birmingham, and it just brought back so many good memories for me of lots of fun with my mates. And again, it was a sunny day, and
it just beer was out, was it?
Oh,
beer
mate,
was out.
It was flowing, and I remember
it has to.
Oh yeah, and I remember Discotheque Rec coming on, and I was thinking, yes, and it was just, it was amazing, and I think, and I love the fact there is still this, it's still going on, and there's still this want for it, and I love it, and I think, as much as and as complicated as music gets with hybrid drumming, and you see every little pad next to their kit and they're hitting it, it's doing different sounds and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah,
it still comes back to the roots of it all, and like you said, with your 4/4 and that the crudeness that creates.
Yeah, and when there's a really big guitar beat, hit the cymbal twice as hard as you did in the bit when he wasn't doing that. And that'll make it sound real, like you're hitting something, like you actually really want to hit it. Because that's what rock music is. It's about wanting to be there. It's not about playing it. It's like my favourite ever drummer, right, is Tommy Lee.
Amazing.
Because he's an unbelievable drummer. But the first album especially, that wasn't drumming. That was all attitude. He's just drummed with attitude and done all sorts of weird bits and dinking about on a cowbell and all sorts of stuff because he felt it.
Yeah.
And you can just see it. Although he's a fantastic drummer and he can do shitloads more than I could ever imagine me doing. But he's, like the full-on rock and roll of the band. You've seen that film, The Dirt?
Mate, it's amazing. I've watched it so many times.
It's so true.
Yeah.
And he is God to me of all drummers ever. I haven't got one of his sticks. Would you believe I've got a Buddy Rich stick?
Have you? Nice.
Yeah, when my dad took me to see him when I was really young, and I was like, because my dad used to be a drummer, you see.
Ah, cool.
So those two things sort of correlated. There's a posh word for me, correlated.
On a Sunday morning, yeah.
I've got an Eric Carr drumstick. Eric Carr
Have you?
used to drum for Kiss years ago.
Yeah.
And a jazz one. I don't like jazz music at all. My dad used to take me to a couple of things. And I've got a stick by a really famous jazz musician called Art Blakey.
I've heard that name, yeah.
Yeah. So I've got those sticks in my past. A few broken cymbals from my past, more than a few. Still got me 5-star supers in Crash Rise. Still got it. It's in garage somewhere, but I can't get rid of that. 5-star supers in. There's a brand. 5-star supers in. There's a brand.
But it's the nostalgia of things like that, and I think anyone who's been there and been in that working class situation like yourself, where you've grafted, and worked really hard, and you did, and I mean I know how hard you guys worked. It was you were on all. I just remember it. There was it was massive part. Like I said to you, massive part of my growing up, and.
Yeah,
and I absolutely love it. And it's interesting you talking about Tommy Lee, because that's for me, that all of that side of things, that's what got me into music. The Guns N' Roses and Van Halen and Leppard and all of those bands, and I still listen to that sort of thing now. And I think that's probably one of the reasons why when that all kind of started to peter out in the early 90s when Nirvana came along, and Pearl Jam,
Yeah.
and it killed it. There was
Yeah.
this new and there was this new wave of bands like yourself, like Terrorvision and the Wild Hearts and Reef, and it was like suddenly I found another thing that really floated my boat, if you like.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I get that completely. The Wild Arts are still going strong. They're brilliant. They're playing our 10-year birthday bash at the
Are they?
Mill in Digworth on the 5th of November.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's a night to try and remember.
Yeah, are you
That'll be
going?
good.
You're going?
Oh yeah, it's the MMH 10-year birthday bash. We've got
Amazing.
Wild Arts headlining, Raging Speed Horn, and there's a stand-up comedian set by one of our DJs, Pete K. Malley.
Amazing. Oh, that sounds brilliant.
I do put it on my show quite a bit and advertise
Yeah.
it and stuff, because all the DJs should be doing that, because it would just be fantastic. And I love the station.
Mm-hmm.
I love all the guys on MMH, the home of rock radio. You can't say that. If you say MMH, you've got to say the home of rock radio. But I love doing it, and I get requests, and I get people I don't know of, like now, having a chat about all the rock and rollness of it all. Isn't that brilliant?
It's amazing.
Something different in life. It's like, wow, it is.
It is so cool, and I think where I mean, we were talking earlier on about when you used to have to take a punt on an album, whether you were going to buy it or not, and if you're going to spend your £6 on it from the listening station or whatever. But now that everything is so accessible through streaming, on whether it be on Spotify or Apple Music or Deezer or whatever it is, there's this real throwaway kind of thing to it now. Not so much. There isn't the value or the investment in it.
I get that. I've got a little story about that. Sorry to interrupt.
Mate. Yeah, please do. Go
back in the day, especially with spoiled brats, and we've all got day jobs and rehearsing at night and weekends and stuff. There was bands bringing albums out left, right, and centre, and you wanted it, but you couldn't buy them all. So there was 4 people in the band. So when there was an album that somebody really wanted, it was their turn to buy it, and the rest of you could record it onto a C90 cassette.
Yes.
We took turns. For the best part of a couple of years. Oh, so and so's got an album out. Okay, well, it's your turn to buy one. That's okay, no problem. He'll buy it. I can record it. You can always fit an album on on one side of a C90, can't you? Or you
Absolutely.
used to be able to.
Yeah, you could.
Yeah, that's what we did. That's called sharing, but someone had to buy the album.
But this is it though, isn't it? It's that side of things, and I think there's this. I mean, and obviously there's been a bit of a resurgence in vinyl and collecting all that sort of thing, and I can remember going through, and like what it's like with records and record companies when they put stuff out, they do like a limited edition of something. So I was going through some CDs the other day because the wife and I, and she loves Terrorvision as well. We were going through, and we were doing a thing to go in our lounge.
Hello, wifey.
Yeah, she'll be glad you've a little shout out to her, Shutty.
Yes, shout out to her, your wife.
I will do. I'll tell her that. And we were doing this thing in our lounge, and we like a picture. And it was our 10 favourite top 10 albums from the 90s. That's what we wanted to have this thing put up. So she chose her 10 albums, and I chose mine. And How to Make Friends was in there, and we were putting them all together. And it just and we had 2 copies. So and she was like, "How come we got 2 copies of this album, Kelv?" And I said, "Well, I think one of them's mine and one of them's yours. So before we got together, she'd had her own copy of it, and I had mine. And my CD case and cover was a completely different colour to hers. Hers was all embossed and shiny, and mine was like this matte grey. And I said to her, I reckon mine was one of the first lot that came out, and then yours was already after the success of the album." And
me and our lass, she's my fiance, right? And we moved in together about 4 years ago, and we're married because we put the CD collections together. That is more. That's more than a signature and a ring on your finger, isn't it? You put your CD collections together. That's that's proper married, that.
I think so, and I think when you start, it's just fantastic. I mean, music's such a massive part of my life, and has been for years. What's been, and you might not want to answer the question, but what's been probably the like biggest achievement that you had in your drumming career? What if you want to say?
The first one was still is my most prized possession. It was my first silver disc. You get it, you get that thing from the record company with the CD on and the cover and everything. The first
amazing.
The first one we got for How to Make Friends and Influence People, because it had done something like 860 or 80,000 copies. No, it's 650 or 60 for silver, and 100,000 is gold. We never got to platinum, but my first ever silver disc from EMI is my most prized possession. Yeah, it just meant everything. Everything you'd ever done and believed in.
Yeah.
It was there. It's there. You've got this silver disc and it's up on the wall, and it's like, life is complete.
Yeah.
That's a long time ago, but life was complete then.
It's amazing. It's really good hearing that, because it's quite humbling to hear that as well. I think from my point of view, and knowing the thousands of people that you've played in front of, and all of those things, to still appreciate those things, I think, and I really like that, and so that's a bit that touches the heartstrings, mate. So thank you for sharing that.
I've got 2 golds.
Yeah.
How to Make Friends went silver and then gold, but the third album, Regular Urban Survivors, that went gold straight away. So I didn't get a silver one for that, just a gold one. So I have 3 discs up on the wall, and I've only got 3 drumsticks left with Terrorvision Shutty's proper Zildjian ones, and each one has got a drumstick on it.
That's amazing. That's brilliant.
It does make it means so much, because we were spoiled brats for a long time learning our craft.
Mm-hmm.
And the first ever bass drum skin that had Terrorvision written on it, I've got that's on the wall behind our telly. It's the first ever bass drum skin that had Terrorvision on it. Yeah, because I do get a bit sentimental about all that stuff, because it was my life, but it still is my life, obviously.
Yeah.
And I do this MMH radio now, which is marvellous. I love doing it. I will have to go soon.
Yes, mate. We'll talk a little, just very briefly, about that in a minute. And I don't want to waste any more of your time. So.
Oh, it's not wasted.
Okay. Well, thank you. I thank you.
It's not wasted at all.
So yeah, the highlight being, obviously that first silver disc, as other than a low point of playing to 2 people in a pub, in the middle of Newcastle.
That wasn't a low point, no.
Okay.
We had a scream that night. As it was my turn to drive the van, and it was an old van, and I left the choke pulled out, and it conked out on the motorway. And that was funny. And we all got to bed too late after playing to 2 people in Wrexham, like 90 odd miles away. And it was funny. The lows there wasn't many lows really.
Okay.
And EMI were trying to get rid of the band. And then there was this plugger called Zoe A, I didn't know her surname, who was mates with Zoe Ball. And Zoe Ball knew Terrorvision because she used to come to a few after-show situations. And Zoe A took this one-sided vinyl thing that had been made just to put the name out in the clubs, to keep the name Terrorvision in clubs. And it had that horrible mix of tequila on it. And Zoe Ball heard it and just thought, I'm going to start playing this every day on my Radio 1 morning show. So she did. And that forced the record company, EMI, instead of dropping us, they had to go with that.
But there we go.
And we ended up number 2 in the charts, never quite number 1. Like my dad always said about me, you lot were top of the championship, but never in the Premiership. But yeah, he got that right as well.
That's amazing to know that happened, because obviously Shaving Peaches, the 4th album, which has got some absolutely amazing songs on it, songs like Josephine, and my favorite is 3 Wishes. I still that's a banging tune. I love it. And that was
I bet you can drum to that, can't you? Because that is the simplest drumming. Is that discotheque record. It's so easy. You can tell I knew I was going to go to the pub. It's like, well, I'll just work this one. I'll just work this one out. Bish, bish, brush, right. Thrash, bash, wallop. Right, let's go to the pub.
Brilliant. Oh, no.
Thrash, bash, wallop. Right, let's go to the pub.
Brilliant. Oh, no. So have you ever been able to meet any of your like drummers that have kind of kind of inspired you in any ways? Has that ever happened, like by accident or?
It's sort of. I mean, I met Roger Taylor of Queen.
Wow.
And I had him walled up at this dude, just jokingly, because there was people everywhere. I had him walled up saying, "Look, I'm a better drummer than you, mate. I'll tell you something for note." Obviously, I never met Filthy from Motorhead, but we went on tour with Motorhead in '93 all over Europe, and Mickey D was the drummer then.
Yeah.
For Motorhead, so I actually got to sit at the Motorhead kit.
Nice.
You know, like
that's so cool. That's so cool.
The kit that's on tour that Motorhead. I actually got to sit at that kit and play it a bit badly. So yeah, stuff like that. But I tell you what was immense in my life, and always will be always will be forever, is going on tour with Def Leppard.
Wow.
Because that was all over tour. That was touring all over Europe and then the UK. It was like there was 7 weeks in Europe and another 2 weeks in the UK, and there's loads of rock and roll stories from that. But Rick Allen, what a man, what a drummer.
He's one of my biggest influences.
One day at soundcheck, he got on my kit and he could play it better than me. Seriously. With one arm, he could play that kit better than me. It's unbelievable. And I've actually got to sit behind the Def Leppard drum kit as well, you know that. Oh, yeah, stuff like that. Memories for drummers. I haven't got many memories for drummers because it's all about, with me, we're always about rock and roll and being rather drunk with everyone you could possibly meet. But little memories of stuff like that. Yeah, I've sat behind and I wouldn't say played, hit the Motorhead kit. I've met, one of the most influential drummers and musicians of all time with Roger Taylor. And Rick Allen of Def Leppard, he's played my kit. And I played his.
That's it. That's amazing. It's amazing. So obviously with that, and you're now doing the radio show, which is really, really cool. And I obviously it's out on Friday nights, and I think that'd be, if you want to have a little chat about that, that'd be great. And I'll put a link in the description of this when we put this out onto YouTube and everything, so that people can go and have a listen. Because I've tuned in and I love it, and you're such a likable character, and I think that for me it's the personality that comes out, and I think that's such a big deal, It
is in when you're having to do photo shoots and videos and stuff like that. We just all fell naturally into it somehow. I don't know how, because a lot of the whole thing is about how you look and how you are. Mm-hmm. But people say to me, "Oh, what's so and so like?" And what's so? I said, everyone's all right. You can't get anywhere in the music industry by being a complete tosser. You just can't. So when you do get to meet famous people, they're all really nice guys, and they want to have a cuppa with you, or hopefully towards later on in the day, a beer with you.
Yeah.
There's not many tossers out there, I can tell you that, because you can't get anywhere if you are. Because a lot of people do stuff for everyone else.
Yeah, no, I mean, the rock and roll stories are fantastic. Yeah,
I've got thousands.
I love it. I just wish we had more. I just wish we had some more time, because it'd be great.
Oh, we can do this again.
That would be incredible. That would be absolutely.
Oh yeah, I'd love to.
Brilliant stuff, Shutty. That would be amazing. Thank you so much for giving up some of your Sunday to chat to me, and to chat to some of the. And I know there's going to be a lot of guys that are going to be interested in talking to this. I was talking to one of my friends yesterday, and I said, "You're never going to believe what I'm doing tomorrow." And he's like, "What?" I said, "Should be talking to Shutty." He was like, "I won't tell you what he said, but it was like, and let me know how it goes." And I was like, "Yeah, of course I will."
No, yeah. Obviously we can do it again,
mate. That'd be incredible.
No problem.
Excellent stuff. Well, look, I look forward to that. Brilliant stuff. So just take care of yourself. Stay safe. All those things that we need to do. Let's hope we get out of this whole lockdown scenario soon, and we can get back to some normality.
Yes, that'd be good.
It would, wouldn't it? It really, really would.
We're so close. Just look after each other and look after yourselves all the time. I say that on my radio show every time when I'm finishing off, because if that happens, we will get out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've heard you say that, and I could not agree with that anymore. And I think that's
just look after yourselves and look after each other.
No, that's brilliant. All right then, fella. Well, look, thank you so much for your time, and I look forward to speaking to you very, very, very soon. Okay.
No problem. Nice to speak to you. Nice to meet you. Nice one.
Thanks, mate. Take care.
Cheers, fella. Ta-ra.